Welcome to Season 4 of the Road to Glory series here with Solihull Moors. And we are in our second season in League One. And after being beaten in the playoff semi-finals last season, we're looking to at least get to the playoffs again this season. I don't think we're good enough to win it. Welcome to the video, folks. Great to have you here. And when I say in the intro, I don't think we're good enough to win it, I mean, I don't think we're good enough to win the league. We might get up through the playoffs. We were beaten by Birmingham, who did eventually get promoted last season in the playoffs. So at least we lost to a team that did win the playoffs and got promoted. So I don't feel quite as bad. If we have a look at the season preview, that's the stages. I want the season preview. There we go. We are expected to finish second from bottom. Last season, we were expected to finish bottom and we finished sixth. So I don't pay too much attention to the season preview, but it is quite useful this time of the season to actually go through it when you get your fixture list come through to see who we're expected to, or who we're playing and how they're expected to perform in the league. And in terms of our schedule, we've had a very decent pre-season. We've played a lot of nobodies, a few somebodies, but we've had, 7 wins and a draw from our pre-season friendly, so we've got fitness levels are up and confidence is looking good as well. We start off the season against Charlton and then away from home, and then we have a home game against Sheffield Wednesday and an away game against Walsall, which if we go back, Charlton are expected to finish third, so that's going to be tough. Sheffield Wednesday are expected to finish sixth, so that is going to be tough. And then we've got Walsall, who are expected to be in the relegation zone alongside us. If we then look at our next 3 fixtures, we've got Leyton Orient, Burton and Wigan. So Leyton Orient, Burton and Wigan, let's try and find them in here. Well, Wigan are mid-table. Leyton Orient are down here and Burton are around mid-table as well. Plus, we do also have the fact that we've got to play the MK Dons twice in the league this season. And the reason that's a big deal is we played them twice when we was in the Vanarama National League and lost both times. Both teams got promoted up into... No, sorry, we played them twice in League 2, and lost both times in League 2. Then we both got promoted to League 1 last season, and we lost to them both times then as well. We don't have a particularly good record. 4 games played, 4 defeats. They are basically our enemy at the moment. If you're just joining the series now, just know that we want to get promoted and we want to beat MK Dons because, like everybody else in the country, we hate them. Anyway, let's move on to transfers because I know that's a big reason why you guys are here, and we'll look at the players that are coming in shortly. In terms of the players that have left, we did have quite a load of players that were on getting towards the end of their contracts. Gus Mafuta, defensive midfielder, he's gone. John Benton, it pained me to let him go, but he's really not good enough, so he's gone. Cole Morrison, who's a 30-year-old centre-back and not particularly good, he's gone. And Adebola Aluo has also gone. Him I was contemplating keeping around, and he's still available on a free transfer now. He's been with us for, 2 seasons. He's been a first-team regular. He's been decent. He's been reasonable. But he's just not to the standard that we really want, to be honest. Same with Carl Morrison. Like I say, he's only 2 stars. He's also available on a free transfer still. John Benton is also still available on a free transfer. And Gus Mafuta is also still available on a free transfer. So you kind of know you've done the right thing when the season's about to start and the players you release are all still available. We've had Ricky Dalival has gone to Dorking on loan. He's one of our young players. He's 19 years old. He's got 5-star potential, 2.5-star. Currently, he can play left or right back. I am very much looking at him being in my first team next season. He was one of the youngsters we got in from Arsenal. And then we get to the players we brought in. So Mateusz Muszalowski, he's a player I was looking at bringing in last season, actually, but with finances being the way they were, we couldn't afford him. But we've brought him in. He's 2.5-star, currently with 4.5-star potential. He's got a lot of potential about him. 22 years old. He's got reasonable pace and acceleration. He can dribble and finish, which is what we want from an inside forward. And he can play on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, plus up top. He could also do something for us in the Mazzala, an advanced playmaker role in the centre of midfield if we got really desperate. So very, very versatile player is Muszalowski. I'll try and get used to saying his name. Jay Ben, for those of you who've been watching this series from the start, you will know Jay Ben. He was here on loan for us back in our first season of the save in the Vanarama National League. and 36 appearances, 3 goals, 10 assists at 7.13. 15 of those were sub appearances as well, by the way. He was really good for us, and he's back again this season. He will be my number one choice at right back. And he then went to Lincoln, didn't play for them, went on loan to Morecambe, played a few games, had a reasonable time, but now he's come back here. And I'm pretty certain he's going to be happy that he's been reunited with myself, because that's when he's enjoyed his best period of football. He will be bombing down that right-hand side for us, getting the crosses in, getting the assists, hopefully. So, yeah, very, very happy. He is suspended for our first game, which is a bit of a bummer, but, you know. Then we have Oliver Tipton on a free transfer, centre-back, 3-star current ability with 4.5-star potential, 6'3". He's got a bit of jumping reach, a bit of heading. He can mark and tackle as well. He can use both feet. He will be, I imagine, a first-choice centre-back for us. Jake Rooney is another centre-back. He can also play the anchor role in midfield to a little bit of a degree if he needs to. 3.5-star current ability with 4-star potential. Again, can use both feet. He's 6'3". I did say at the end of the last episode I was looking for players that are tall. You know, we didn't score enough goals from corners. We want to make that better this season. Really good jumping reach, very decent heading, marking and tackling are good as well. He's not slow. He's got a little bit of pace, a little bit of acceleration. 22 years old. Like I say, can use both feet. Very happy with his signing as well. And then Elijah Dixon Bonner can also play left and right, but his preferred position is in the centre of midfield, playing the advanced playmaker role. He can also do the Mazzala, and he could drop back and do a role as the anchor if he wants. So again, a very versatile player in Elijah Dixon Bonner. His previous time, he started out at Liverpool. He went on a free transfer to QPR, never really did anything, but had some good game time in League One with Stevenage over the last couple of seasons. So, yeah, we're hopeful that he's going to do a very decent job as well. Right, let's go over to the tactics screen, and I'll show you how we're looking at lining up for the new season. So this is kind of how we're looking at lining up for the new season. We had a bit of an issue last season because James Brown was annoyed that we didn't have enough depth at right back. We only had Joel Shambrook, who's 1.5-star. He is one of our youngsters. He's got a little bit of potential to him as well. And I'm quite happy to keep him around. He's 21 years old. And he didn't do too badly for us. But anyway, James Brown was mad we didn't have enough quality of depth at right back, even though we were massively outperforming our league season expectations. He's now injured for 3 weeks, and Jay Ben, who's the other right back, is suspended. So even though I brought in better options at right back, Joel Shambrook is still going to be the one that starts the season for us. Jay Ben will be our first choice, and as you can see, he's a much more improved option than Shambrook. Fidel Ross Lang, who's one of their backup players, he's out injured up for another 11 days. So this is basically how our team looks. If you look at the actual squad, Rooney and Tipton, both new centre-backs. When we get Jay Ben in there as well, it means that 3 of our back 5 will be completely new for us. Then we have Antwi, Rowe and Dixon Bonner in the centre of the midfield. That midfield is looking really rather juicy. I do quite like the look of that. And we have Will Hondermark, who we had last season, can fill in here or anywhere in here. Ryan McArdle, we have bought in last season from Arsenal on a free transfer when the Premier League clubs let their youngsters go. He's come in at 18 years old, already 3-star current ability with 4.5-star potential. So he will sit on the bench whenever I need a Mazzala, maybe even an advanced playmaker as well. He will be the main option I bring on. Windermark will come on when I need an anchor, and McArdle will come on when I need someone here. We also have Kian Spence that can play in these roles as well. He prefers to play the Mazzala role, I think it is. Yeah, the Mazzala role. So it could be that we use him for the Mazzala and McArdle for the advanced playmaker role. Then we have Riley and Hagan out wide, both here from last season, and Bonfiglio up top, also here from last season. So in terms of new players, like I say, 3 of them here in defence. Elijah Dixon Bonner is here as well. And who's the other? And Muszalowski is also injured as well, by the way. He's out for another couple of weeks. So when Muszalowski comes back, he will slot in, and it will be Muszalowski and Hagan out wide for us, supporting Bonfiglio. So I really like this team. I think this team has got a really good look about it. Hopefully, if we do lose our first couple of games of the season is not going to affect our morale too much. If we have a look at dynamics, team cohesion is very good, club atmosphere is good, and managerial support is excellent. And our condition is looking, or our sharpness rather, is looking pretty good as well. Like I say, we've had a very good pre-season. So yeah, I think we're ready to go. I'm a bit terrified away from home against Charlton on day one. And you might be asking yourself the question as well, how come you've come back now when the transfer window doesn't shut until the end of August, beginning of September, just before we play Wigan? The reason for that is when you look at the finances, we are absolutely maxed out on our wage budget. 57,790 is what we're allowed to spend. That is what we're currently spending, and that's what we're committed to spend. We do have 178,000 in the transfer budget, but we're not planning on spending that or whatever else. So if we sell anyone, I'll let you know in part 2 of the video. But I don't foresee there being any business done so far, like for the remainder of this transfer window. One thing I actually do need to show, because I haven't done it yet, and I don't know how I managed to forget, is these are the players we brought in on free transfers at the end of last season. We went through that in the last episode. I'm not going to go through it all again, but we did make a big money sale, and that is Kiddo Taylor Hart. He's gone to Motherwell for 550,000, rising to 675,000. And as a result of that sale, it's done our bank balance very well. As you can see, we were £456 in debt by this point, and we went up at one point. We were up to £333,000. We do seem to hemorrhage money quite a bit, but I mean, we've lost £297 in one day there, so that shows you how much we do lose. But hopefully we're going to be okay for the season. What we might have to do though is we might have to look at our players and think that we need to make a big money signing on someone every season. So for example, if we end up finding that Honda Mark is wanted and we can get 140,000 for him, then that would do us a lot of good for the finances. If we have a look at actual transfer values and rated by the highest, Charles Hagan, I mean, he's close to £1 million. Cameron Antwi is close to £1 million as well. John Newton could be up towards 800,000 also. So there's Sabara's 600,000. There's a lot of options here for us in terms of players we could move on. I mean, it could be that Ryan McArdle, who, if he has a good season this season, he's got a transfer value already of up to 850,000. He is wanted by other clubs, presumably on loan. Yes, he's on loan. But if someone wants him on a transfer and is prepared to give us £1 million for him, he'll be out the door, even though I don't really want to use my young players. Now, Dev Centre. Previously, we only had an under-18s. I requested from the board that we have an under-21s, and they've agreed. They've given us an under-21s. It's not a particularly great under-21s, but it has got the talent we brought in from the Premier League clubs that they released at the end of last season. They are now pretty much the ones that are in our under-21s. And as you can see, we've got some really good potential players in there. In our under-18s as well, if we filter it by potential, we have some decent talent in there. I'll be looking at anyone that's 17, like these guys here, will probably be moving over to the under-21s at the end of this season, if they are still here. And yeah, like someone like Martin Watson, who's got potential to be 3-star, he'll move over to the under-21s as well. So looking at this, we've got an average under-21s, a strong under-18s. Obviously, we'll get our youth intake this season, and then hopefully I can sign more of those players that are released by Premier League clubs, so we can bolster these squads even more and really start to get a youth setup up and running and in business basically this season. So I think that's probably all there is to go through. In terms of the club vision, attempt to avoid relegation. As long as we can do that, our job is fine. Be competitive in the FA Cup, be competitive in the Carabao Cup, and be competitive in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. So all that remains to be seen now is how can we get on in the first half of the season. I'll be back with you just as the transfer window closes at the end of January, and hopefully we are somewhere from 11th upwards would be nice. There is a possibility we could be down by the relegation zone though. Let's see how we got on. And we are in the playoffs, the playoff zone anyway, for League One. We are currently sitting in 5th, 31 games played. We've got 2 games in hand. over everyone around us. If we actually win our 2 games in hand, we do move up to 3rd place, but we'd still be some 7 points away from Barnsley and Cardiff, who kind of are moving away, running away with the automatic promotion places. But 31 games played, 17 wins, 8 draws, 6 defeats. Bearing in mind, after our first 6 games, we had 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats after 6 games, and things were looking a little bit perilous at that stage. Starting to look like we were going to be in for a mid-table struggle. But if we have a look at our past positions, as you can see here, we did drop down as low as 12th. We went up to 8th, down to 10th. Then we started to climb up a little bit, dropped back down again. By this point, we got up to a fairly consistent-ish level. We have been as high as 3rd for a few weeks. But yeah, things have been looking very good in terms of the league. And the reason why I bring you in at this point is because it's been a very good season so far in terms of the other competitions as well. But we'll get to those shortly. Average rating-wise, Elijah Dixon-Bonner, he has been phenomenal for us. He really has. As you can see here, in the league, 27 starts, 4 sub-appearances, so 31 appearances, 14 goals, 5 assists at 7.27. He has been an amazing player. And overall, it's 40 appearances, 17 goals, 9 assists, so 26 goal contributions from 40 games for an advanced playmaker in midfield, in central midfield, not even in the cam role. He has been so good. And he's here for another season as well after this, at least. Hopefully, we can keep him a bit longer. However, he does have a 1.9 to 2.6 million pound price tag on him. I don't really want to sell him, but that kind of money we cannot say no to. So keep an eye out. Right, let's get into the other competitions as well. Bonfiglio, by the way, is 2nd top goal scorer in the league. He's got 17 goals. Ghassan Ahadmi has got 18 goals for Barnsley. So, yeah, Bonfiglio, likewise, is having another very good season. He got 25 league goals for us last year in 40 appearances. He's kind of on par to do that again. He's increased his average rating a little bit as well, which is wonderful stuff. Right, let's go over to the competitions page because the big news is the FA Cup. We are into the 4th round of the FA Cup. We played West Ham at our own ground, and I was so gutted at this point because they've got like a 60,000 seater stadium or whatever it is, and we didn't get the away game that we would have wanted. We got a home game, so I kind of resigned myself to the fact that we were going to be going out of the FA Cup, but we didn't. We got a 2-2 draw against West Ham. We'll have a look at it in the schedule part in a moment, which means we now get an away game against West Ham in a 4th round replay. If we do get through to the 5th round of the FA Cup, if we have a look at the draw, I'm a bit disappointed by this, by the way. We're away, we get the away team, the big Premier League team, well, they League One, I thought they might have dropped into the Championship, but we get the big Premier League team, and it's Bournemouth. I mean, I'll have a look at their ground, but I'm assuming it's the same ground as what we're used to. Yeah, the Vitality that has like 11,464 capacity. I mean, to be honest, we probably would have been just as well off playing the game at home rather than playing away to Bournemouth. But that is our reward, if you want to call it that, if we somehow manage to beat West Ham. I don't think we will. West Ham are in the Premier League. They're 17th, so they're not having a great season, but they are in the Premier League. In terms of the Carabao Cup, you know, we got knocked out in the 1st round by Birmingham. In the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, we are into the semi-final where we play Preston. And Port Vale and Bromley are both League 2 teams. Preston are about 12th, I think. 16th in League 1. We have to be considered favourites for this competition now. We are the top ranked team or seeded team in this competition now. And the fact that we're in the semi-final with these teams left in it, I've kind of got to look at winning it. Because if we go to the club info screen, the only trophies they've won one Vanarama National League North trophy, which was won before I got here. The Vanarama National League, I won with them, and the Sky Bet League 2, I won with them. So 2 of their 3, 66% of the silverware they've got is because of me. I would love to add the Bristol Street Motors Trophy to that as well because it's a realistic possibility. In case you're wondering, I'm favoured personnel, by the way. I'm hoping at some point I do move up to Icons and even Legend by the end of this save because it doesn't matter where I go in FM24. I never get further than favoured personnel. Even with Dortmund, I was only favoured personnel, which still irritates me to this day. But anyway, it is what it is. In terms of finances, by the way, we are £273,000 in debt. But this game against West Ham potentially could get us at least break even. You know, the money we could get from this game against West Ham means that we might not have to sell a big name player in the summer to help balance the books. That would be huge. Right, let's have a look at the schedule then to see how we've done in here. So you knew how we've done in this first month with these 2-2-2 type thing. We then played Wigan in the league and won 3-2. We then played Wimbledon in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy Southern Section Group, whatever it was, and won 2-0. Blackpool were next up in the league. We won 5-1. Then a 2-2 draw against Carlisle, followed by a 2-1 defeat against currently top of the table Barnsley. Then we played Swindon in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, a 2-2 draw on that. We won on penalties, so we picked up the extra point. Lincoln then at home in the league, we won 4-1. Doncaster, we also beat 4-1. Then Peterborough in the league, we won 3-2. A draw then with AFC Wimbledon 1-1, followed by a 2-1 win against Fleetwood. Then our FA Cup first round, I mean, you'll see yourself here, we've had a pretty kind run up until the game against West Ham. Doncaster were first up. We beat them 3-2 at home. We then played Stockport and won 1-0, followed by a 1-1 draw against second in the table Cardiff. Brentford under-21s were next up in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy group stage. We beat them 2-0. Stevenage we beat 4-2. And then Preston, who we play next in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, of course, we did lose to them 1-0 at home in the league. Bristol Rovers, it was a 2-2 draw, followed by Colchester, a 2-0 win. Then we played Tranmere in the FA Cup second round and a very nice, comfortable 5-1 win in that game. Shrewsbury in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy Southern Section second round was 3-0 win for us. I have also worked out, by the way, that you played a second and third round still in the regional part of it. And then when you get to the quarterfinals, it's all merged into one. So that's how you only get one winner. Then came our usual defeat against MK Dons 1-0 away from home. Then we played Portsmouth and drew 1-1. We then beat Colchester 1-0 and lost 3-1 to Barnsley. This area here was starting to concern me. The defeat to MK Dons, draw to Portsmouth, only beating Colchester 1-0, and we were the home team as well, and then losing to Barnsley. Some tough games in there, but yeah, I was getting a bit concerned. Then we played Plymouth and won 2-1. A 1-0 win then against Preston away from home, avenging our defeat against them earlier. Then Doncaster, a 6-1 win against Doncaster in the league at home. Then we moved into the FA Cup third round where we played Blackburn Rovers, beat them 3-0. Then we had Arsenal under-21s in the Southern Section third round, beat them 2-0. Peterborough, we beat them 5-1. We were in some really good form, playing some really nice, attractive, beautiful football. Lincoln, we then drew 1-1, but then we beat AFC Wimbledon 2-1 before that 2-2 draw against West Ham. And then against Charlton in the quarterfinal of the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, 3-3, but we won on penalties. And then we lost our most recent game 3-1 against Blackpool, who are quite low in the bottom of the league. So make sense of that if you want. The game against West Ham, by the way, as you can see here, we played really well. You know, there's no doubt about it. We had more shots on target there, more shots on goal. What was the XG? The XG was slightly in their favour. We dominated possession against West Ham over 90 minutes of football, and we only had 10 men for the last 15 minutes or so. If you go down to the average ratings, 6.87 to 6.78, we outdone them on that as well. You could argue that maybe we were unlucky not to go through. Fidel Ross-Lang gave us the lead on 46 minutes. Elijah Dixon-Bonner then made it 2-0 on 55 minutes. And at this point, I was in dreamland because I was just like, we are going to beat West Ham and we're into the next round of the FA Cup. We're going to win it. Then Mavropanos on the 69th minute made it 2-1. Then Jay Ben went and got himself sent off, and then we conceded a penalty in the 90th minute for West Ham to get back into it. Talk about last gasp salvation for the Hammers. So that is where we stand at the moment. If we have a look at the Dev Centre at the youth intake, it says a good intake. This don't look particularly good to me, so don't expect much from that. Finances have already seen. If we have a look at the dynamics, team cohesion is excellent, club atmosphere is good, managerial support is excellent. What I also want to show you as well now, I'm going to put a email screenshot on screen roundabout now, where we got given a job interview from West Brom in the Premier League. They are a Premier League team, and we got a job interview from them. I didn't go for it. I did decline it. And we have had other job interview offers throughout the course of this save so far. At the beginning, we had a couple from teams in the lower leagues of Scotland. But since then, we've had a couple of I think Blackburn even offers an interview at one point. I don't usually make much of a deal about it, because at the end of the day, I'm not going anywhere. I'll just decline them all. But it was interesting to see that we got that job interview. I think it was West Brom. You'll see it on your screen anyways when I showed it. But yeah, I just thought it was quite interesting to see that we actually are getting Premier League clubs offering us a job interview. Right, let's move over to part 3 of the video and see if we can keep our playoff position. Could we get a place in the automatic promotions? And how do we do against West Ham? Do we win the Bristol Street Motors Trophy? Let's find out how our season ended right now. Okay, so there's something very, very wrong going on at the moment. And I need Bristol Rovers to do me a big, big favour, because the playoff final is Bristol Rovers versus MK Dons. I cannot have them going up when we've not been promoted ourselves. If we have a look at the league table, and you'll see here we finished 3rd in the league. We were 4 points away from Barnsley, who were in 2nd. Cardiff absolutely ran away with the league, 102 points. Bristol Rovers were 4th, Plymouth were 5th, MK Dons were 6th, which meant we played MK Dons in the playoff semi-final. And they beat us in both games. There's no other way of putting it. We'll come to the schedule now and we'll go through this with you. We did actually, before we do, we did win the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. That was a fantastic achievement for us. I'm delighted that we've won this. We beat Bromley 3-2 in the semi-final. But again, we'll get into that in more detail very shortly. But we do have a trophy, a cup under our belts. So we are definitely achieving things here with Solihull Moors. Right, in terms of where we were when you left me in part 2, or when I left you in part 2, we were about to play the FA Cup 4th round replay against West Ham. Look at that, 4-3. I mean, we could not have given that a better fight if we tried. Goals from Oliver Tipton, Mateusz Musialowski and Connor Hall also getting on the score sheet for us. Cameron Plain had a pretty poor game for 6.1, and our star striker Bonfiglio not really doing the job either at 6.3. But the biggest point of this is the money that it brought in. We was about £250,000 in debt at the time, 247, I think it was, something like that. We actually became £240,000 in the black as a result of that. We earned about £500,000 just from that big game away from home against West Ham. We are now back to being £240,000 in debt again in terms of bank balance. We'll go through all that in the finances shortly. But without that, we would have been like £700,000, £800,000 in debt right now. So that has done us a massive favour. Anyway, after that, we then played Carlisle and beat them 3-2 in the league. We then played Wigan and won 2-1 against them away from home. Then we had a home game against Fleetwood Town, beat them 2-2, before a 0-0 draw with Burton, a 2-1 defeat to Stockport, and then a 3-3 draw with Cardiff. Our defence still needs to be improved. Stevenage, we then beat them 4-0. Sheffield Wednesday, we drew 1-1. We then went on a little bit of a winning run, beating Charlton 3-2 at home in the league. Then we beat Preston in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy semi-final, 1-1 after normal time, and then we won it on penalties. Leyton Orient, we then beat 2-0 away from home before a home win in an epic game against Walsall. 5-4, we won this game. 2 goals from Ryan McArdle, our young superstar central midfielder, and 2 goals from Musialowski as well. Also a goal from Oliver Tipton. And yeah, that was just an insane game. It really was. Then we played Plymouth and lost 2-1. We had quite a few losses at this point. We were starting to run out of steam, I suspect. Then we played Bromley in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy final. And as I've already shown you, we won that 3-2. Musilowski, Teddy Rowe and Will Hondermark with the goals in that game. Then we played MK Dons in the league and lost 2-1. We went 2-0 down and before Jake Rooney then got a goal from a corner to make it 2-1. Then we played Bristol Rovers, who, as you've seen, are another team in the playoff area. We lost that 2-1 away from home. We did go ahead through Francisco Bonfiglio before they then come back to win the game 2-1. We then beat Portsmouth 1-0 in the league with a goal from Jay Ben. Then came the playoffs, and the away one we lost 2-1. I weren't too disheartened by that because I thought, you know what, we're still in the game. There's only one goal in it. Hopefully we can turn it around in the second leg, despite the fact that I've never beaten MK Dons. And we played the second leg and we also lost that one 2-1. And the head-to-head between us just makes a completely miserable reading, quite honestly. 8 games played. They've won all 8. They scored 16. They've conceded just 5. It just... Yeah, this one hurt the most because it's actually... I'm hating the idea that MK Dons may end up in the Championship while we are still playing in League One. That is not particularly to my satisfaction. But yeah, like I say, if we go and have another look at the league, mainly because I want to check... God almighty, how many times I have to put down I want to look at the league? Right, so since we started this save, we obviously started in the Vanarama National League, 1 promotion. Then we were in Sky Bet League 2, 1 promotion again. This is now our 2nd season in League One, finishing 6th last season. We finished 3rd this season. I really want promotion next season. It feels like if we're going to keep improving, that would be the aim. 86 points we got this season compared to 75 last season. So we are improving in every single way, shape and form possible. But we do need to also find out how the playoff final goes, because that is going to be played... When's this? No, that's the semi-final. We want the final. Well, oh, I'm in the wrong season, aren't I? There you go. Right, so this will be played at some point. Can you just tell me when it's going to be played, please? 15th of May. So, yeah, next weekend basically is a playoff final. So we'll let you know how that goes before we get to the end of this video. But if we just have a quick look at some of our emails, we've got the supporter profile update here. This is what that looks like if it interests you. The supporters' influence on the board is still moderate. Our social media influence has gone up by 7.2 thousand, and we have 1.624 thousand supporters on a waiting list. In terms of the club vision and expectations meeting, let's do that now. For next season, they want us to avoid relegation again. I mean, they need to get with it a bit. We've been promotion playoff team for the last 2 seasons, at least say mid-table. But, you know, we'll accept it. It's a low bar to meet. We'll go to the plans for next season. We'll talk about League One and we'll say that we're going to avoid a relegation battle. Going into next season, I think we're in a good position to avoid relegation. There you go. Everyone's satisfied. And that'll be it for now. We'll leave everybody with a smile on their face. That's the most important thing. These always go the same way. But yeah, having a look at the competitions. Carabao Cup, we got knocked out in the first round by Birmingham City. FA Cup 4th round, 3rd in the league, and winning the Bristol Street Motors Trophy has been a very, very good performance. Right, let's get to the end of season review and then we'll have a look at plans that I've got in place for next season. We have some great news. The board announces new stadium plans will go ahead. The Solihull Moors board have today announced that the club has been granted planning permission to build a new stadium. Construction of Solihull Moors Stadium, I mean, it's not a great name, I'll give you that much, will cost around 14 million. The deal also includes a clause for 10% of the gate receipts to be paid in rent. What? 10% of the gate receipts to be paid in rent. So I thought we was building this ourselves. Are we not going to be owning this stadium? We'll get to that when it matters. The board has secured a loan of 9.75 million to help finance the stadium project. Additional funding for the project has been secured with a stadium sponsorship deal worth just under £1 million and a £4.2 million grant from the authorities. This is awesome news. Building will start on the 9th of May, so now basically, and it's expected to be completed. Wow, okay, so by the end of next season. So next season is a 27-28 season. By the time we get to the 28-29, so the season after the one coming, we'll be in our new 12,261 capacity stadium. I mean, it's got grass, so that's always nice to hear. We've even got undersoil heating. We're getting posh, ladies and gentlemen. It's being built in Solihull. That is awesome. In all the different saves and the teams I've managed and whatever else in FM24, this is my first new stadium. I did have a stadium that was going to be done for Aveley, I think it was. I can't really remember now. And it was such a long time ago. And the plans were in the pipeline for about 3 years, and it just never happened. We was ground sharing with different people and all this sort of stuff. So this is awesome. Hopefully we do get this stadium go through like it says it will do. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Let me know in the comments if you know what this is about. Includes a clause for 10% of the gate receipts to be paid in rent. Are we renting the land or something and we pay 10% of the gate receipts for the land? I don't. That's all I can really think is. Like I say, let me know in the comments if you know the answer to that question. But yeah, we have got a new stadium coming, ladies and gentlemen, and by the end of next season, we will have that beautiful new Solihull Moors stadium. I still think they should have named it after me, but I guess I'm not that big a deal yet. Here we are with the end of season review and our lovely little Bristol Street Motors trophy sitting there on screen for us to look at and to make the most of, because it's lovely to win a cup competition. It might be a few more years before we win another cup competition, unless we win that again next season, of course. Right, let's get into it then with the new arrivals. Elijah Dixon Bonner has been given our sign of the season. I don't disagree with that, to be honest. 57 appearances, 48 of them as starts, 18 goals, 10 assists at 7.17. Alongside him, though, is Ryan McArdle, 19-year-old now, midfielder that we got from Arsenal on a free transfer. 52 appearances, 48 of them starts, 12 goals, 13 assists at 7.15. There is not a great deal to choose between them, and they are our midfield duo, two in those more advanced midfield positions, not the defensive ones. And they have both been phenomenal for us this season. And I've loved seeing Ryan McArdle slowly develop as the season goes on. Jay Ben is another one. We got an A+. What do we get for him? A+, C+, only a C+ for him. The player helping the team meet the squad registration rules. I don't know why he's only got a C+, to be fair. But anyway, Jay Ben is the next one. A+, 42 starts, 2 sub appearances, 3 goals, 15 assists as a right back at 7.14. Yeah, I think it's quite safe to say these three have been the big success stories of this season. Jake Rooney has done really well for us. 49 starts, 8 sub appearances, 8 goals and 2 assists for a centre-back, 8 goals and 2 assists. That is awesome at 7.01. Mateusz Muzielowski from Stoke, also on a free, well, they're all on free transfers. 57 appearances, 10 of which have been subs appearances, 14 goals, 14 assists at a flat even 7 rating. And Oliver Tipton, who's been a terrific partner to Jake Rooney from Wolves, 59 appearances, 48 of them starts, 7 goals, no assists at 6.89. I think it's 6.89 is really harsh of him. But between our 2 first choice centre-backs, we've got 15 goals from them. That is awesome. I love that. In terms of transfers out, there's only Kiddo Taylor-Hart to tell you about. He's gone to Motherwell. He's a record sale at £675,000. He's had 11 starts, 29 sub appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist at 6.74. It's not been great, but I suppose he's probably getting a nice little salary from them. So well done to him. Right, season to remember. Sky Bet League One. Attempt to avoid relegation was what they wanted. At least this season is avoid, or next season, it is avoid relegation. So they have changed that a little bit, but it's still not very adventurous from the board. Our average home attendance, 99% full. That's why they're wanting a new stadium, because if we can get even 10,000 in our stadium, I mean, that's a dream. I don't think we'll get that many, but that would be amazing. Top goal scorer was Bonfiglio with 22 goals. I mean, they've given us a C-. the board are disappointed at the team's performance in the Sky Bet League One playoffs. I mean, you didn't even expect us to get there. You expected us to be around here. I think that is really harsh. Let me know in the comments if you think that is harsh on the board. They're just disappointed in our performance in the playoffs, considering we shouldn't have even been in there to begin with. They've given us a B- for the FA Cup. We went out to West Ham. I mean, they can't really complain. We had a pretty nice run to it. Doncaster, Tranmere, Blackburn, and then out to West Ham in a very close game and in a replay. Carabao Cup, we were very disappointed against Birmingham City. And the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, we won it, beating Wimbledon, Swindon, Brentford under-21s, Shrewsbury, Arsenal under-21s, Charlton, Preston and Bromley on our way to winning this lovely, beautiful, very important trophy. Yes. Right, moments to remember. The biggest win was a 6-1 win against Doncaster in League One. Then the match to remember was a 4-1 win against Lincoln in League One. And also in League One was their goal of the season from Elijah Dixon-Bonner. A top draw goal from Moors central midfielder Dixon-Bonner as he hits a daisy cutter from 25 metres. That was in, like I say, a 3-2 win over Peterborough. If we get to the finances, everything's looking good in terms of this. We are 2-star reputation at the moment. We'll probably get a little bump as well. We've got one new deal in a sponsorship for $38,620 a year. The most notable deal, a 5-year deal worth £193,000. In terms of annual revenue, sponsorship has gone up by a little bit, about 80,000. Broadcast revenue has also gone up. Corporate and hospitality has gone up. Competition prize money went up significantly because of the FA Cup. And matchday commercial and retail went up by about 80,000 as well. £222,000 made in total merchandise sales, and non-domestic sales amounting to 22,028 of this total. We've made a little bit of money from outside of the UK, basically. Shirt sales, 3,032 shirts sold. Newton, Bonfiglio, Rowe, Dixon-Bonner and Hagen amongst those. I'm really wanting to see McArdle in that for next season as he continues to grow in our team. In terms of our team of the year, our best 11, Plain in goal, Newton and Ben out wide, Tipton and Rooney in defence, Antwi, McArdle and Dixon-Bonner in the midfield, Muzzolowski and Rowe out wide and Bonfiglio up top. I did start playing Teddy Rowe out on the right-hand side. In here is where his preferred option is, but he can play out here. And he actually done a pretty reasonable job, actually. And as you can see from here, we've got Dixon-Bonner with his 18 assists, McArdle with his 12, Teddy Rowe had 10 assists, these are goals, not assists. Muzzolowski with 14 goals and Bonfiglio with 26 goals. So we've got, 5 players there, all in double figures for goals scored. Jake Rooney and Oliver Tipton also contributing 15 between those as well. In terms of assists, Jay Ben got 15, Newton got 12, Bonner with 10, McArdle with 13 and Muzzolowski with 14. We've got goals in us. We just need to be better defensively, basically. Right, the accolades. Elijah Dixon-Bonner is the fans' player of the season. Young player of the season is Ryan McArdle. Not surprised at that at all. Sign of the season, Elijah Dixon-Bonner. Goal of the season, Elijah Dixon-Bonner. You can see how important this guy was for us. Top goal scorer, Francisco Bonfiglio. Most assists, Jay Ben. Most player of the match was Elijah Dixon-Bonner. Highest average rating, Elijah Dixon-Bonner. And most passes completed per 90 minutes, it's Cade Craig. I was getting a bit carried away there. Cade Craig with 70 passes completed per 90 minutes. I won a Manager of the Month award for October. There's been no record breakers this season. And in terms of history in the making, they've highlighted our Bristol Street Motors Trophy final win against Bromley and the little trophy here. They say it's important to get off to a good start, but it rings as true as ever for Solihull Moors this season, from John Alexander at Sky Sports News. And the manager timeline is what the manager timeline is. Okay, let's have a quick look at this bit here. Hagen has resumed full training. Youth candidates revealed. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Yes. If we have a look at our dev centre quickly and at the youth intake that we've had, a couple of decent ones. We've got a Polish striker here, Bartosz Shermak, 1.5 star current ability with 3.5 to 4.5 star potential. Daniel Sorensen, another striker, this time from Denmark, with the same amount of potential. And then we've got like the 4 stars and the 3.5 star with Jordan James, a midfielder on the right. If we actually have a look at this guy, he can play in the middle and we'll probably train him in the middle as a Mazzala. And then Derice Burrows, an attacking midfielder on the left. So a few decent names there. These ones, meh, whatever, but it's an average intake overall. It's not been great, but that is not bad at all. Right, let's move over to the next part of the video, and we'll just discuss my plans for next season, who's running out of contract, all that sort of stuff. Right, so we're at the squad screen, and mainly the reason why we're here is I want to show you players that are running out of contract. So we have got a whole load of players here. There is actually 14 players in this squad that are running out of contract at the end of this season, which also means that we've got 11 players that are not running out of contract. So we're going to have a very different looking squad for the start of next season, and that will obviously be in next week's video. Now, out of the players that are running out of contract, there's only 2 in here that are in what I would consider my first choice 11. Francisco Bonfiglio, who I'm quite happy to keep this guy. So I'm going to see if we can discuss a new contract with his agent. I'm not looking at paying him a great deal more than what he's already on, though, because he's already on like 3,700. Teddy Rowe is our top earner on 4,000. So he's interested in staying. Oh, he wants £5,500 to £6,500 a week. Oh, that's going to be far too much. I just don't think he's worth that amount of money, to be quite honest. Yes, he's been a wonderful scorer for us. Let's not underestimate that. In 53 appearances, he scored 26 goals like last season. Altogether, 46 goals in 83 appearances for us. I mean, and that's just in the league, by the way. But yeah, I'm going to have to think about this. I mean, he doesn't run out of contract until the end of June, so I've got a little bit of time to think about it. But Kean Spence is someone that I would normally like to have kept around, but his injury problems are just too much for me. I need to let him go. It's a shame because he's got decent ability and decent potential, but like now, he's out now for up to 5 months. So he wouldn't be back till, September time already, so it'd be the start of the new season. Cade Craig, I may well keep around along with Will Hondermark, and then we get down to Finn Howe as a backup left back. He's 21 years old. He has got potential, and that's one reason why I think I may offer him a new contract. But I don't know. Cade Craig, I think we will offer him a new contract. So let's have a look at what his demands are going to be. 1.9 to 2.4 thousand pounds a week. I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't mind offering him a new contract. We'll take out the preferred position thing, and he's not getting a 35% promotion wage rise. We'll take that down to 15, and he's happy with that. So yeah, £1.8 thousand a week for Cade Craig. Will Hondermark, who is currently on £1,000 a week, he would like 1.3 to 1.6. Again, I don't mind that. What is worth keeping an eye on as well is the length of the contract that they ask for, because what you don't want to do, we're looking at being in the Championship, if not next season, then the season after. And we don't want players around that are not good enough for the Championship. He wants 2 years. Potentially. I mean, I don't mind 2 years. We'll take that down to 10%. Is he prepared for a one? No, can't do that. Right, we'll give him 2 years. He's not a bad player. There you go, 1.3 thousand. It's only £300 more. So that's 2 of those that will be hanging around. I need to really think about Bonfiglio, and I'm not sure about Finn Howe either. Right, okay. What we'll also do, have a look at the finances. We've got £27,000 in our transfer budget. We won't be spending any of that. We'll keep that there, or maybe move some of it down into our wage budget. If we move it into our wage budget, it doesn't really do much for us. So we'll just keep it as it was, I think. In terms of our wage budget, that's a transfer budget, obviously. In terms of the wage budget, we are overspent at the moment, but by the time we go down to our committed spending, we will be perfectly fine. And then obviously there's going to be a load of players leaving anyway, so no worries in that regard. We are doing fine for financial fair play. In terms of dynamics, team cohesion is excellent, club atmosphere is good, managerial support is very good as well. If we have a look at the hierarchy, give a little update on that, almost everybody supports me. The only ones that don't is Connor Hall and Dylan Wharton, our backup goalkeeper. But other than that, everybody else supports me. That is awesome news. What else do we need to look at on these pages? We've had a look at the Dev Centre. We have got some free transfers coming in from the players that were released by Premier League clubs, but I'll show you that in next week's episode. There's no point going into that now. And yeah, that's really about all there is. This is what our first team squad or first 11 looks like at the moment. I would expect that to look very different come next season. And yeah, it's been a really good season. Again, if we go to the competition screen, we've had massive success in the league. You know, the fact that we've been in the playoffs for the second year in a row. Yes, it was disappointing to lose to MK Dons, who, by the way, Bristol Rovers has done us a favour by beating them 2-0 in the playoff final. So Bristol Rovers will go up. In terms of who's coming down, let's have a look at the Championship. Let's have a look at the league table. Oxford, Bolton and Huddersfield will be coming down into League One next season. And in terms of who's going up, we'll have a look at the Sky Bet League 2. Exeter, Wrexham, Port Vale and whoever wins this playoff final between Wycombe and Notts County. And there we are for when we won League 2 a couple of seasons ago. So, yeah, it's been a really good season in the league. It's been a really good season for the Bristol Street. All round, it's been a really good season. Disappointing the Carabao Cup, but whatever. We'll overlook that. Can we do it again next season? Can we have another good season? Can we get promoted next season? And I'm really looking forward to the news about our new stadium as well. Join me next week for season 5 of The Save as we continue the road to glory with Solihull Moors.